It looks like she is starting to hit the fan. Kind of in like it's almost like a biblical way at this point. This is certainly feeling biblical with everything happening in the world right now. And it's easy to get bogged down and caught up in it, right? Like the media and social media, the algorithms, the politics, they're all trying to pit everybody up against each other and keep everybody in a frenetic state. Because we're multidimensional beings, right? So you exist on the emotional plane, on the mental plane, and the spiritual plane, right? There's 3 planes of existence here in this third dimensional reality. So the whole goal of the rat race is to keep you in a frenetic state where you're trapped in the emotional and mental planes. And so the way that they do that is through keeping us bogged down in never-ending thought, and more importantly, in destructive emotions. Whether it's arguing with other people, whether it's just being afraid, feeling hopeless, feeling depressed, worried, sad, confused, angry. And that's why the social media algorithms are always sending out new things that trap us in those emotional wavelengths. And then when you couple that with everything that's happened with them declaring everybody non-essential and then taking away everybody's jobs, we already had 75% of people in America living paycheck to paycheck, and the average person was in credit card debt for basic necessities and all these things. That was before they declared everyone non-essential. Then they declare everyone non-essential. All of a sudden, all these new polls start coming out that there was a poll recently by Gallup that 80% of Americans lose sleep over financial worries. So however bad that was, it got even worse, right? So now you've got people that are, and then you've got rampant inflation at the same time. So the cost of living goes up and the purchasing power goes down. While a lot of people have, and it might be you, right? Or maybe it's your spouse or family members, and maybe they've lost their job. And the whole point of all of this is to basically disenfranchise everyone and trap them in lower patterns of consciousness. And that's why it's important to remember that you're existing on 3 planes. You exist on the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. So as shit hits the fan, you've got to go outside. Like, look at that. You got to find places like that that restore your connection to inspiration. The word inspiration comes from Latin word, and it means in spirit. So you have to go out and do those things that get you in spirit, because the way this whole thing works, and the behavioral scientists for the news and the commercials, and most importantly for social media, they found out how to chemically addict people to staying trapped in the matrix or staying trapped in the rat race, even if it's not enjoyable, even if it's evoking negative emotion or stress or anger or fear or worry. They've learned how to trap you into that. And the whole goal is to keep you in a reactionary state of consciousness always, in a fight or flight, in a frenetic, but more importantly and more simplistically, in a reaction state of consciousness. But there's only 2 primary levels of consciousness. One is reaction and one is creation. And so the question is, what are you creating today? Because they want us to just fill all this fear into the quantum field. They want us to fill all this stress and worry, and they want us to argue with each other, and they want us to just keep replaying this same thing. They want us to give up our feeling of being essential and divine and powerful. And that's how human history's always really worked, that the few have tried to control the many that way. But they don't have to. They can only control you if you submit your free will. And there are certain things you always have control over. There are certain things you always have control over. Those things are what's inspiring you, what's uplifting your energy. Can you get outside and hike? Can you stretch? Can you exercise? Can you go like this? Can you call someone and tell them that you love them? Can you transmute your anger or fear or doubt or worry or fear into creativity? The transmutation of energy, because energy is never created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. It can only be transmuted into different states. The same way that water goes from being frozen to being water to being steam to being gas to going into the atmosphere. Energy is always moving through different states. So the question is, can you take your fear, anger, depression, worry, any of that emotion and just transmute it into creativity? And you do that by surrendering to the universe. You do that by surrendering to God and asking God to make you a vehicle or a vessel for a new business idea that uplifts people, for new art, music, poetry, a new idea for your community, a new idea for your children, for your friends, for your family, anything creative that uplifts, that enriches, that empowers. It might be that you start a new church, a new place for people to gather and connect to God and raise their spiritual consciousness. Heck, you might have a new sales idea, a new business idea. Just shift into what you can control, because as things continue to hit the fan, it naturally pulls us into a reactionary state of consciousness. And this is why disciplined free will and taking conscious breaths is important, so that we don't stay trapped in the emotional and mental planes, so that we can move to higher levels of awareness, higher levels of thinking, to the spiritual plane, where we understand that we are in this world but not of it. When we understand that we're in this world but not of it, we don't get sucked in to the emotional, mental realm in a way that becomes destructive. We remember that we're spiritual beings in physical body, that we're energetic spiritual beings, and the whole nature of reality is energy and spirit, and that your body extends far beyond your hands, far beyond your chest, far beyond your face. You're a field of energy. And you can make your field of energy a divinely powerful field that no thing outside of you can control you. No weapon against you shall prosper, like they say in the good book. So what are you creating? Because newsflash, you still have control over your reality. You still have control over your personal reality. You still have control over your life. You still have control over your bank account. You still have control over your health. You still have control over your career. You still have control over how you feel when you wake up in the morning. You still have control over your relationships, your family life, your self-esteem, your confidence. And when we bring our energy creatively to those things, guess what? We become empowered, inspired in spirit, and we become examples for everybody else. So just something to keep in mind. So hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure you hit that like, subscribe. Give me a comment down below if you enjoyed today's episode. Let me know how you're feeling. Be sure to check out my free success hypnosis. It's jakeshypnosis.com in the description and pinned to the comments to reprogram your subconscious mind. I always say brainwash yourself before the world brainwashes you. And remember, you're a beautiful, powerful being, and that you live in an awesome world, in an awesome universe. And it's only going to get more exciting when we start to move into creative, solution, uplifting energy.